Hello folks, this is Sula speaking. You're listening to another video for Teamfight Tactics. We have some additional footage here from the public beta environment, the PBE, prior to the release of set 10. And in this game, we're going to be looking at a Disco Dazzler team composition, two traits that are typically going to be played together because they have a lot of overlap between the two of them. And it turned into a really interesting and close game towards the finish. So definitely wanted to cast this one. It's been one of the more entertaining games that I've played on the PBE. This game was played over the weekend, so the numbers for a bunch of this stuff is going to be slightly out of date. Again, that's very common for the PBE. Lots and lots of stuff gets changed all the time, but just bear in mind that a lot of this stuff is already changed around. Now, I am the only one that runs the gold per item, but I actually end up getting picked at the 1 in 8 odds, although I think 2 people weren't standing on any options, so I think I was like 1 in 6 odds. I'm just glad that the first augment was not prismatic, just as we saw back in set 9, where the portals were first introduced. Anytime there's something prismatic, like 2/3 of the lobby is going to run towards that immediately, and that was not what I was looking for. I prefer lower power level in the lobbies overall, so that things are less wacky, and you get enough of the first prismatic anyway because so many people pick it whenever it's an option that you get to see that all the time. All right, well here I've got an interesting start. So we have 2 3-cost units drop immediately, Lux and Misfortune. They're both 3 costs. Misfortune plays into Jazz and Big Shot. Lux plays into EDM and Dazzler traits. But there's also a Disco Taric headliner available. And as soon as I see that, I was like, all right, well, I have natural synergy here. I have Taric, who has the Disco trait. There's a Nami in my store. Nami has Disco and Dazzler traits, and then Lux has Dazzler traits. So this is really a lot of synergy here just from the start. So I get immediate direction from the shop, and I'm just going to take that and run with it here at the start of the game. And then look at this. I also get a 2-star Kennen in the shop, just like that. So now I have a pair of 2-star frontliners. Taric and Kennen are both guardians here. And by the way, you see me highlighting Taric's ability right there. And then I can level to level 4 and put in Nami, and she's the missing piece because she gives me a rank of Disco and a rank of Dazzler. Normally, of course, I would need 3 Disco units to play Disco trait, but I do not need 3 because the extra headliner ability for Taric is Disco, so he gets +1 to that trait. Only downside is I do get a bow here. The bow is not quite what I'm looking for. It's not really a Lux item. And then the question is, can I get something good to pair with this? I don't want United Resistance because of the way that the Disco works. And I was like, all right, I'm going to have to go ahead and take Buried Treasure, which is the old Ezreal augment from back in when we had the Ezreal option, when we had the Legends in the previous set. So this is not really what I wanted, but I couldn't get something that fit. But I'll go ahead and make a Sunfire Cape, and then, remember, we get extra gold for making items. So I'll go ahead and use the 2 extra gold to level 4. I'm pretty confident I can win streak with the board I have here, and we will put in the Nami. And so we have Disco plus Dazzler plus Guardian trait. Guardian's a frontline tank, provides shielding when the units, I think they drop below 50% health. It provides a shield to themselves and their nearest ally. So yeah, now we have Disco trait in and we have Dazzler trait in. So let's go ahead and cover what these do. You might have noticed that I now have a Disco ball that I can place on the map. That is what the Disco trait does. This is basically a return of the Jade trait from set 7 with the dragons. And I'm going to go ahead and grab this, I believe I grabbed this Jax here. That costs 2 gold. Do I pick that one up here? I'm looking at who the other Dazzlers are. Did I buy this Jax before the round ended? I really should. There's no reason not to pick that up. Or did I forget to do this here? Oh boy, the tension. You can cut it with a knife. Will I buy this unit? Okay, I did buy the unit there. All right, anyway, so as I said, Disco. This is effectively a return from the Jade trait in set 7. So you get to put these Disco balls on the board. You get 1 at Disco 3. You actually get a second one if you get up to Disco 5, but that's it. There's no 3 or 4 Disco balls. And basically, allies that stand next to it gain attack speed and they gain healing. So at Disco 3, it's 5% attack speed and 3% max health. The healing triggers every 3 seconds. So it's slightly faster than the healing triggered for the Jade statues. So it's percentage-based max health, and it's also attack speed, which again were what the Jade statues provided back in set 7. They provided a percentage of max HP healing and they also provided attack speed. So those are the two stats you get again. One thing that is different though is the Jade statues in set 7 were they were kind of there on the map. They were targetable, like you could break them. They had health bars. The disco ball is kind of not actually there. There's no actual health bar, so it's not like enemies can actually attack it in combat. But you do want to cluster up around the disco ball because you get, that healing and also that attack speed. Now, again, just like any of the other traits that are like this, you do have the disadvantage of needing to crowd up around the disco ball. So anything that can hit big clumps of targets does make you kind of vulnerable. And there's a fair number of AoE abilities in this set that do hit big clumps, as in every set. All right, now here I've got my my remaining components out of my initial augments. I got 3 additional components, and they weren't really what I was looking for. I was kind of hoping for Lux items. More tank items would not be terrible either. And in fact, a Disco Opener really works best with a very tanky front line. So I don't get what I'm looking for there. But what I will do is I will use these items. I'm going to put them on Jax, and I'm going to have Jax just hold items for a future Twisted Fate. So Twisted Fate is one of the big carries when you're playing this. His traits are, what are they? I believe he's Disco and Dazzler. Let me just double check that because it is early. Yeah, he's Disco and Dazzler, same as Nami. Nami and TF have the same traits, both Disco, both Dazzler. So you can see why these traits really function together. You're almost certainly going to play them together. And TF is an attack speed carry, basically. He's AP plus attack speed. His itemization is pretty similar to Deja, the Wind Dragon from back in set 7, and functions kind of similarly to that unit. So what I'm going to do is, I obviously do not have TF yet. He is a 4-cost unit. He's not going to show up for a while. So I want someone to hold TF items in the meantime, and I'm actually going to put them on Jax. Now, Jax is more of like a melee bruiser. He's kind of like melee plus AD. So you would ideally, if you're going to use Jax as your carry, you'd probably want to have things like Bloodthirster, Titan's Resolve, Quicksilver Sash, things like that would be good items on him. So this is not really the right itemization to put on Jax, but I mean, he can kind of hold these items, and I don't want to put AD items on Lux because you want AP on Lux. So I'm just making the best I can do with the items I have here so that I can actually use these items. All right. Now, in addition to that, we also have the EDM trait in. That is one of Jax's traits. He is EDM plus Mosher. So since we're going to be playing through Jax here for the time being, let's talk about this, the EDM electronic dance music trait. This is an interesting one, very unique. First time anything quite like this has been implemented in Teamfight Tactics. So once you have EDM trait in, you pick out the one unit that you basically want to have the others duplicate. I think that the official language is you pick a unit to sample, because this is a music-based set. Use the EDM selector editor to sample an EDM champion. See the frequency for each. At a specific frequency, your EDM champions transform into the sample and cast their ability with modified effectiveness. So you will see every few seconds, my other units will transform into Jax. So, like, Lux will go use Jax's ability, which is really wild how that functions here. And you can do this with any of the EDM units. There are 4 of them in the set. You have Jax who's a 2-cost, Lux who's a 3-cost, Zac who's a 4-cost, and Zed who's a 4-cost. So the other EDM units, you use that little thingy on the bench, it's the EDM sampler, I guess, to pick which unit you're going to be sampling. And then I think it depends on which unit you pick, but it's about every 7 or 8 seconds, the units will all use the ability of whichever one you've sampled. So like Jax will jump into the back lines and like do a spin and jump back. Lux fires her laser, and Zac bounces around, which is pretty funny. Zac's actually really hilarious if you manage to put Zac in here, and I would much prefer having Zac in here over the Jax. But yeah, so like Lux jumps turns into Jax, jumps into the back line, does a spin, and then jumps back again. So it's a really pretty wild trait overall. Now, this is a close fight. It's actually a really important round because we're about to head into the minion round. And if I can win this, I can carry a full win streak into the minion round. But it's a close fight here. I'm up against a country board that's pretty strong. Tariq is healed for an absolutely insane amount of health over the duration of this fight. He finally goes down, and then it's Lux against Samira. But, oh, EDM kicks in one more time. And that's going to win that fight. Otherwise, I'm pretty sure Samira wins that fight if that final pulse doesn't go off there. So, woo. What a close one. Also, by the way, notice the disco ball has disappeared, so I'm going to make it come back again. I don't know if it functions when it disappears. That's just a bug. I think it's because I made Nami 2-star, something bugged out, but I just took Nami off the board and put her back on again to get the disco ball back. Again, it's PBE, so there's going to be various bugs. Alrighty, so what I'd most like to get now is a Mosher unit in for the Jax, because Jax is kind of the unit I'm playing through here. I was intending to play through Lux, but I haven't found that. And then Set is, in fact, a Mosher unit. So I was like, oh, okay, cool. We can play Set on this board. We don't need a Moo. And Lulu is kind of an interesting one, too. I would not mind playing her either. She's kind of a support unit. Here we finally get a Lux item. We get a tier. So that I will hold on to and potentially put on Lux. But we'll go ahead and level. We'll put in the Set. He's going to give us the Mosher trait. And I'll go ahead. I was like, do I put this on Lux or do I make a static shiv? I was like, you know what? I'm full win streak. Let's go ahead and think about, do we do the tempo play here so that I can try to continue win streaking? Static Shiv is a good item for Twisted Fate later on. So I was like, all right, I'll go ahead and do this. I've leveled to 6. I'm pushing levels aggressively. I'm trying to get to a higher level where I have better odds of finding Twisted Fate. And even though Static Shiv is not a good item on Jax, it's really not what Jax wants, it is a good item on Twisted Fate. So I'm going to go ahead and make this item right now. And again, continue playing tempo, trying to be aggressive here. And I mean, we will get the benefit of Static Shiv. Jax actually got a Guardian proc there to give him a little bit of extra health, gave him an extra shield, so that's nice. Now, do we have enough to finish off this board? Well, unfortunately, this person already has a TF. They apparently found a TF at low odds. That's pretty unlucky for me. And will the TF be enough to make a difference? Lux, oh, this time it looks like the EDM sample's not going to be enough. So yeah, they basically won that round off of finding an early TF. Now, that's bad for 2 reasons. The most immediate one is it ends my win streak. I actually spent a lot of gold trying to level early. By the way, here we have another augment, but I'm mostly getting reroll augments, which are not really good for what I have here. Like, these are all reroll augments, and I'm not planning on playing a reroll augment. I was like, all right, Cybernetic Uplink, probably the best. I guess Tiny Titans would be okay. Unfortunately, I didn't hit the Jax 2-star until after that round. If I'd hit the Jax 2-star, I probably would have won that round. So anyway, it's bad immediately because it ends my win streak. The other reason why it's bad is there's a TF out of the shop. And one of the biggest changes here in this set is there's a lot fewer units in the pool as compared to other sets. So I talked about this a little bit in some of the previous videos, but it's really going to come to the fore in this particular game because I'm actually being contested in this game. One of these other players, I just went through and highlighted what the other people were playing. And then, oh, look at this. The person who had the early TF, they just recombobulated and it turned into a Yorick. So the good news is they're not going to be playing TF. The bad news is they already have a 5-cost unit on 3-2, which is very early. This person, though, Eoviv, I don't know how to pronounce this. It looks like it's maybe like a French name or something, but I don't know. Anyway, they are contesting me. They are also playing Disco Dazzler, so I'm going to have to fight against another person for the same units. And again, one of the biggest changes in this set is that there are fewer units available at each cost tier. So when you're contested, it's harder to hit the units that you want as it was in previous sets. This is a bit less of an issue for the lower cost units, but it's still an issue there. The 1-cost units, there's traditionally been 29 of them in the pool. Again, if you're watching this video, you probably know this, but units are all shared. Everybody shares the same units in Teamfight Tactics. So for a long time, there's been 29 of each of the 1-cost units in the pool, but they actually lowered that down to 20. So yeah, a lot harder for people to reroll for 1-cost. Now, after that, this game was played with 20 of the 1-cost. They actually increased that back up to 22 in a patch that came out after this game was played. But you can tell, going from 29 to 22 copies of each means it's harder to hit the 3-star units if you're being contested. Still, it's felt the most at the 4-cost and the 5-cost unit tiers. For a long time, there's been 12 copies of the 4-cost units. So for a unit like Twisted Fate is a 4-cost unit, there's been 12 of those units in the pool for ages and ages and ages. They have gone down to 10 in this set. So, that's what? Going from 12 down to 10, that's roughly 20% fewer of the units. So that means on the one hand, it's harder to 3-star the units because, if you need, it's much easier to get 9 out of 12 as opposed to 9 out of 10. But it just makes it harder to 2-star the units. So, if there's 12 units in the pool, theoretically 6 different people could play a 2-star version of the unit. But if there's only, oh no, never mind, you need 3 copies of the unit. So there could be, with 12 in the pool, 4 people could theoretically 2-star the unit. But with only 10 in the pool, only 3 people can. And it's just harder to hit in general. Now, again, this is to offset the headliner mechanic. That's the reason why this is added. Headliners mean you get the chance to just hit 2-star version of the unit right in the shop. So this is to make it harder to 3-star the units. It's a good change. Before they did this, it was really easy to make 3-star 4 costs, and that was throwing the balance of the game out the window. But it does mean that it's going to be harder for me to hit since I'm being contested here. So I really need to make sure I can hit TF. So my plan for doing that is to go to level 8 early on. At level 8, you have good odds of hitting the 4-cost units, and you also have good odds to hit actually 4-cost headliners. I don't have the headliner odds in front. Let me just look at the headliner odds. They're somewhere on the cheat sheet that I'm looking at. Where maybe they're not available. Wait, where do they have this here? Set 10, overview. Do they have the headliner odds? The headliner odds are somewhere, but I don't have them in front of me. But in any case, you have much better odds. I think you have to be level 8 to hit the 4-cost headliners. I could be wrong on that. If you can hit them on level 7, it's very low odds. So anyway, I want to get to level 8, roll on level 8, and I need to roll pretty aggressively because I know I'm being contested here. It's actually really important I try to hit TF 2-star before anyone else in the lobby can hit this unit. So that's why I'm going to level aggressively, get to level 8, and be willing to roll down pretty low because I know that this other person's going for TFs, and I have to hit them before they get taken out of the pool. I am not going to pivot into a different comp. I want to play this one. I want to give a good test of this one, and hope they can find some more Luxes too. Jax has been great for the moment. Jax has actually been carrying me for a while here, but I will ultimately have to move out of this. I'm also going to have to move out of the Taric too, so when I get to level 8, I'll sell the Taric headliner. Taric's actually been really great. He's been a wonderful tank, but he is going to get outscaled eventually, and I'm going to have to move into a different frontliner. I want that to be, probably if I can, Blitzcrank. Blitzcrank is also at the Disco trait, but he's a 4-cost unit. And instead of being a Guardian, he's a Sentinel, which is another tank trait, but it's a slightly different one. Anyway, I go ahead and put Gragas on my board. It's actually kind of wacky. I haven't seen a single Gragas to this point in time in the game, but Gragas is another Disco unit. He's Disco plus Bruiser, so it'll be some combination of Sentinel and Bruiser frontline. Like, I've played this Guardian trait for the early game. It's actually kind of interesting. You have frontline traits for, like, all the tank traits can play into Disco in some regard. You have Taric, who's Disco plus Guardian, but he's a 1-cost. And then you have Gragas, who's Disco plus Bruiser. He's a 2-cost. And then Blitzcrank, who's Disco plus Sentinel. So it's like all 3 tank traits you can potentially play as front lines. But Gragas is a 2-cost, Taric's a 1-cost, and Blitzcrank is a 4-cost. So Sentinel late game probably makes the most sense. But it is kind of interesting. You have all these different options. Then there's also Zac here as well. So that's great. Zac is EDM plus Bruiser. So he'll combine with Lux to maintain EDM. And I'm going to want to put him in to pick up Bruiser trait with the Gragas once the Jax comes out. Yeah, I'll just play him over the Gragas right now. I go from Disco 3 down to Disco... Go from Disco 3 or Disco 4 down to Disco 3, but that doesn't really do that much. The big breakpoints for Disco are 3 and 5. So 4, I mean, it's there. You get slightly more healing, slightly more attack speed, but it's actually not that significant. Anyway, there's a Lux item, so that's nice. And there's a Jeweled Gauntlet for Lux. Perfect. All right, so now I'm going to just, like I said, look to, do I go to level 8 here, or do I wait another round? I'm trying to remember if I just go to level 8 right here. I still have a decent amount of gold with, so let's see. Do I wait one more round? It's 24 gold here. I think I waited one. I think I wanted to see what my augment was. Oh, and I also checked this other player. Oh, this other player's Evoker Face is playing... maybe I misidentified which person was playing the same board as me. All right, so I think I wanted to wait for the augment, and then I was going to go 8 and roll after that. A little better from an econ perspective, too. And anyway, here... Oh, no, this person's also going up against it, too. Okay, so there's 3 of us playing this. 3 of us are playing this comp, which is not good. So that's why I knew that I needed to go after this, because 3 of us are all trying to play the same thing. And there are just not enough units to sustain 3 people all playing the same comp. Not in this particular set. All right, unfortunately, Jax looks like he got taken out pretty early here. Do I have enough left over to finish this off? The good thing I have is I've got that Taric, who is just really, really tanky. He's just been outstanding for me. But I do need to move out of the Taric. He's a 1-cost unit. I can't stick with a 1-cost headliner the whole game. He's just going to get outscaled if the game goes on. So I'm going to have to look to pick up an option here. And out of these options here, Portable Forge, Harm Assist, I was like, all right, giving everyone AP, that sounds great. And there's a Blitz, that's fantastic. So move out of the Taric. Let's go ahead and roll and see what we can pick up. There's another Lux. I'm really looking for TF. I want TF because I want to sell that Jax and put the items on TF. Now, I do get a Ziggs, which is fantastic. I love having Zig. And then I get a Disco Blitz. I was like, oh, man, this is going to be an awesome frontliner. So we can just go straight from having this really strong Taric frontliner into a really strong Blitz frontliner. So now I just need to find TF. It's the one unit I'm missing. I can play around not having a TF unit to start. Like, I don't need a TF headliner necessarily, but I do need at least one TF to put on my board because I need to put these Jax items on Twisted Fate, but I haven't been able to find him, unfortunately. Excuse me, and I did roll a decent amount of gold. I think I rolled about 30 to 40 gold. So now the question is, oh no, what's going on with the rest of the lobby? Oh no, this person found a TF headliner. This person's not even playing a Disco Dazzler team comp, but they found a TF, and they're now playing a TF headliner. So that's three TFs taken out of the pool. I was like, oh, that's not good. They're just randomly playing him as a transition unit, but still, that takes 3 TFs out of the pool. They actually haven't lost a single round yet. I think they're trying to rush level 9. Oh, that's the person who recombobulated. And then I'm looking around at this other person, and oh no, another person hit a 2-star TF as well. That's 6 TFs out of the pool. There's only 4 TFs left. I was like, oh, that's going to make it very hard to hit TF. Ooh, ugh. That's not good at all. So I was like, well, I guess I got to keep rolling for right now. I got to figure something out here. I'm going to have to play some kind of unit because Jax is not going to cut it anymore. He's just fallen off too much. All right, I can hit 2-star Lux, so that's nice. So I'm trying to figure this out, but now I'm down on 0 gold, and I was like, I got to put these items on someone. Maybe I can play them on Ziggs. Ziggs is a 5 cost. Maybe I can use Ziggs as my carry. It's not what I want to do, but maybe I can just use Ziggs as my carry. Ziggs is a 5 cost unit. He's Dazzler plus Super Pop, or excuse me, Hyper Pop. He's a really good unit, but and he's kind of like, he's basically an AP caster. Every time he casts, he throws out more bombs, so you want him to cast a lot. Blue buff is really good on him. So I have like attack speed items, which are okay, but not great. Still, I mean, I need to run some kind of carry, so I was like, all right, we can use you for the moment. This is still not quite what I want, but I've got to do something, so yeah. And I'm just trying to figure this out right now, trying to figure out what I can do here. I guess I'm going to have to play through the Ziggs right now. At least I have really tanky frontline with that 2-star Blitz. That's really nice. And I've won enough rounds that I'm last pick on the carousel again. So right now I'm trying to finish itemizing Lux. I guess I'm going to run Lux as like my other carry. I have like Ziggs and Lux as my carries in this Dazzler team composition. So go ahead and take the sword. This is really good. I wanted to get a Shojin for Lux. Her mana cost is fairly high. What is her mana cost? I've got the cheat sheet here. Excuse me. Lux's mana cost is 75. So yeah, Shojin definitely helps her get her autos off. But then look at this. Oh, there's actually a TF headliner in the store. This is wild that I saw this. I actually have a headliner. So I only see them I only see that the headliner one every 4 shops. But I have to take this. Even though it makes everything incredibly awkward. I have to sell the Blitz because you can only have one headliner on your board. I have to sell the Ziggs because I have to get those items off Ziggs. And now I like desperately have to recombobulate my board here. But I have to do this. I have to do this because there's so many TFs out of the pool. The odds of just finding TF 2-star naturally are almost non-existent. I'm just not going to find TF 2-star naturally because so many, as I said, so many of those units are out of the pool. So I have to pick this up, even though it's very painful to lose my Blitzcrank. That cost me my whole front line. You can see I get just bowled over here because I lost all my front line. I'm going to have to make up for that. But there's more Blitzcranks in the pool, whereas almost every TF was already out of the pool. There actually are Blitzcranks to be found in the store, and that's why I had to make this swap, even though it's very painful to do. Because, like, that other person I'm contesting, they only have 1 Blitzcrank. All right, so now I need to roll. I desperately need to get more frontline. Thankfully, Blitz comes back. Thank goodness, Blitz. And that actually is going to get me up to 5 discos, so I can go ahead and get the second disco ball, and then that'll provide a little bit more room here in my team composition. So let's get the Zac up on the front line. Let's get TF in the back lines where we want him. And now we've got, 5 Disco, 4 Dazzler, 2 EDM, 2 Bruiser, and then the Hyper Pop. But most of my board is 1 stars. Almost but the entirety of my board is 1 stars. I have 2-star Lux, 2-star TF, and then 2-star Lulu back there, who's a support unit. So I really need to upgrade my front line. It's super important that I can do this. If I can get 2-star Blitz and I can get like 2-star Zac in there, I'll feel a lot better. But Yeah, for the moment, my front line's pretty weak. The good news is I do have 2-star TF as a headliner who actually has pretty good items. Now I'd like to get a third item for him, but he should be able to carry me reasonably well as long as the front line can just hold up long enough. So anyway, this is why this set is so much fun, because you really have to watch what other people are playing. Like, I adjusted my strategy based on the fact that there were still a lot of blitzes in the store to be found, and there weren't hardly any TFs left. Almost all the TFs were out of the pool. And you really need to be scouting and paying attention to stuff like that. If you're not, then it's going to be a problem, because you're going to make bad decisions if you're not paying attention to what other people are doing. All right, while we have a minion round here, let's go ahead and cover Dazzler, because I am playing a 4 Dazzler comp. So currently my Dazzler units are the Nami, who's a 1 cost. I have Bard, who's thrown in there just as a trait bot. He's a 2 cost. And then Lux and TF, who are my main carries. Ziggs also has the Dazzler trait, which is why it hurt to lose him. He's a 5 cost unit, but no choice. I had to sell him to get those items off. Here's what it actually does. Dazzler's abilities reduce the target's damage by 25%. Deal bonus magic damage over 2 seconds. At Dazzler 4, at least here on PBE, it's 60% bonus magic damage over 2 seconds. So it's a debuffing trait. It debuffs the enemy team. And it also deals some additional magic damage as well. By the way, there's a Lux headliner in the store, but I'm never moving out of this Twisted Fate one. I'm happy to just stick with that. I'm going to make sure that the EDM trait is sampling Lux, so she shoots out additional lasers. And I was able to make some good items there on that final minion round, too. I was able to make a Rage Blade on Twisted Fate, which is a great item. Again, he's attack speed plus AP. He's actually rather low on AP here, but he has a lot of attack speed. And I think his setup is quite good, because that Rage Blade's going to stack up over time. Not quite enough to beat my contested. This is the person I'm contesting with, Evoker Face. Not quite enough to beat them. But I think if my front line can upgrade, then I actually would stand a good chance to beat them, because I think my augments are better than what they have. And by the way, there's still that other person, Kokolo, is still running a Twisted Fate headliner as well. So actually right now, all 10 TFs are out of the pool. We all have 3 of them, and then that other player has a 4th one on their bench. So all 10 TFs are out of the store right now. No one else can buy a TF. It's pretty wild. All right, anyway, the good news is I did bank a lot of health in the early game, so I can afford to lose some health here. I'm actually going to go to level 9, because I really want to get Sentinel trait in. And in addition to that, if I play this Echo, he'll give me Sentinel trait. He'll also give me Spellweaver trait as well, which is going to be quite nice, because I have Spellweaver trait on Gragas, I have Spellweaver trait on the Lulu, and then he'll give me a rank of that as well. So it'll actually make, as I said, both Sentinel and Spellweaver. Sentinel's a tank trait. It gives everybody on the team armor and magic resistance, and then it gives double that to Sentinel units. Sentinel 2 doesn't give that much, but still, you know, it's not nothing. Especially it's a good late game trait, because it gives stats to the whole team. Sentinel 2 is 16 armor, 16 MR. But, you know, getting that on 9 units is pretty good. All right, here I'm able to take out, this is the person who's just playing TF as a transition unit. I'm able to take out that unit, but they've got a Jhin back there, and the Jhin stacks up and ends up killing the rest of my team. Again, I know what my problem is. I need more frontline. I know that's the issue. But I'm going to go to level 9 after this, I believe after this carousel, and then I can put in the Echo, and that'll give me a little bit more frontline. Yeah, here's my doppelganger. They have 2-star. They hit 2-star Thresh, which is interesting. They're still playing the what's it called? The Taric. Still playing the Taric. So they actually have a lot of frontline, but their damage potential is lower, because they're not. They don't have as much in the way of backline damage. It's pretty much just the TF. It's also questionable if you still want to keep the Taric on your board this late in the game. It does get you up to 6 Disco, which is a trace trait, but I don't know. Tarik's kind of a bad unit in the late game. Might be worth dropping that and just playing better units. All right, now this person has a 2-star Sona, and this was a pat. Again, I mentioned this was played over the weekend on PBE. Sona turned out to be really broken, and she actually got patched in here. Look at the amount of shielding Sona's doing. Yeah, Sona just shielded for 43,000 in this fight. You might be like, wait a minute, what the heck's going on here? What just happened? wait, 43,000 shield? Wait, what? What just happened? All right, so Sona's an interesting unit. She's a legendary unit. She's a 5-cost unit. She has a unique trait, Mixmaster, and then she's also a Spellweaver. You can actually have her do 3 different things. You can have her do the just like the DJ Sona skin. You can have her heal and shield, or provide additional attack speed to the team, or provide additional ability power. She actually does not deal any damage. She actually attacks your own units and buffs them. By the way, here I'm going to get another item. There wasn't too much that I really wanted, so I end up taking the Quicksilver Sash. I'm going to go ahead and roll now on level 9. There's another Lux. Okay, I'm actually on 6 Luxes. I might as well hold on to this and see what happens. There's a Ziggs. And by the way, what do I take out? I need to take out the Bard, but I actually get confused here. And I forget that I'm getting Dazzler trait from Bard, and I believe I actually sell this Ziggs because I want to buy this Lux in the store. So I think I actually make a mistake and I start itemizing Lulu. But what I really need to do is put this on Ziggs. Ziggs is a much better unit. Bard is just in there for the Dazzler trait, so I can actually take this out and play Ziggs. But if I remember this game correctly, I think I actually sell the Ziggs because I wanted that Lux and I didn't want to lock the store. I just forgot that. It's early enough in the set I just forgot. So this is a big mistake. And afterwards I look back and I was like, oh, I needed to take out the 1-star Bard, because Bard is just in there as a trait bot, and Ziggs is a way better unit. He would also give me Dazzler trait. All right, anyway, but the point I was trying to make, back to Sona. So yeah, Sona, she doesn't actually attack enemy units. She just attacks your own units. Her auto attacks have like an immediate function. I believe it's a heal with what this person has them configured on. But then when her mana bar fills up all the way, she gives a team-wide benefit. And the team-wide benefit was to give a big shield. Again, there's 3 different options. One's attack speed, one's AP, and then one's shielding and healing. This person has it on the shielding and healing. Well, basically people figured out that if you ran double Rage Blade and put a Shojin on her, that she would fill up her mana bar insanely fast, and then she would just put these enormous shields on the entire team to just like a ridiculous extent that they really should not be. She has been nerfed since this was played, but yeah, at this point in time, it was pretty much like if she gets double Rage Blade and a Shojin, it's basically just game over. It doesn't matter what you're playing. She will just heal for so much, there's not much you can do. All right, as far as my team, I'm starting to get there. I mean, I couldn't beat that Sona because that was ridiculous nonsense. But, you know, the TF is doing a lot of work, and we're actually going to beat this Jhin player, which is great. That person is the one who took Recombobulator, and they've been really strong the entire game. Here is my doppelganger, Evoker Face, the person that's contesting me. They look like they're pretty strong as well. So we've both managed to build these really good boards. And then there's the Sona player. I mean, look at these shields. It's just insane. You can't even touch the team. It's just wild. So yeah, they're win streaking here, and it's pretty crazy. Now the good news is Ziggs come back, so thank goodness. Thank you for coming back, Ziggs. He's just a fantastic late game support unit to have in. If you're playing a Dazzler board, you should play him anyway because he gives Dazzler trait. But he's often a good unit to play even if you don't have Dazzler trait. So he gives me a 2nd rank of Hyper Pop, as my past self is helpfully highlighting. When Hyper Pop champions use an ability, they get, well, I went off that now. I got to pull it up on the cheat sheet. Hyper Pop. When Hyper Pop champions use an ability, they grant mana and 4 seconds of attack speed to their 2 closest allies after casting. So a great support trait, and you only need one of the units, so like you can just play Lulu to get the benefit. Hyper Pop 2 is 5 mana, 20% attack speed to their 2 closest allies. So that's pretty nice. So like just put these units next. You can see I have them next to TF and next to Lux. And I actually get a Thief's Glove there, so that's going to be great for Ziggs. So I'll go ahead and put that on Ziggs. There's another TF. Now note that I can find TFs in the shop again because apparently the person, Kokolol, who had a TF headliner, has sold the TF. I also did get a champion duplicator there. It's a lesser champion duplicator, so I can't champion duplicate the Ziggs to get Ziggs 2-star. The lesser champion duplicator only works on 1, 2, and 3 cost units. But yeah, I mean, if I can find one more Lux, that could be Lux 3-stars. So again, this is looking pretty good. Ziggs has actually rolled pretty good items for this round too. The Gnasher's Tooth is good on him. And then the Shield Breaker, or Guard Breaker, I can't remember what that item is. It's just like a generically good item. All right, this is me up against my Disco Doppelganger, Evoker Face. And we sniped the TF in the back lines. And as I've said, this is the big weakness of that board. TF is the only damage unit on that board. Whereas I have TF plus Lux and now Ziggs as well are all doing pretty good damage. Lulu is actually doing decent damage as well. Now it's back to the Sona board again. And I'm just going to type, that Sona thing, not really balanced, huh? Yeah, this is looking pretty problematic here. I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to deal with this board. I'm probably just playing for a 2nd place here if possible. But that person, Kokolo, has a lot more health than me. So, yeah, they're probably, I don't know. It's going to be tricky to do better than like a 3rd place in this game. At least I am beating the other 2 players. I did beat Kokolo and I did beat Evoker Face. We are now in, with exactly 4 players left, we're now in a round robin where we just alternate who we're going to hit every single round. So now I get my chance to hit the Sona board. And, I mean, I do have Lux who has good backline access, so like maybe if Lux can snipe the Sona, I don't think she does quite enough damage. So Sona's mana bar fills up, and then oh yeah, she just shielded for 16,000 when her mana bar filled up. She put a shield on every single unit on the team. I think it was like a 2,000 health shield on every single unit on the team. So I'm actually killing quite a few of these units, but the shielding is just so out of control. 48,000 shield. As I said, we killed a couple of these units. 54,000 shield. I just can't do anything. It's just too much, and I go down to one life remaining, 11 health. But if I lose another round, the game's going to be over. So yeah, and there's Ziggs. So I was like, all right, let's get 2-star Ziggs. We don't have any items on the Zac, so we'll sell the Zac just to get enough gold to pick up the Ziggs. I've had people say before, why do you continue rolling the shop in a situation like that? You only had 3 gold. Why did you re-roll the shop, to get down to 1 gold? You wouldn't have enough gold to buy anything. And that's why, because you can sell stuff on your bench. And it actually is worthwhile selling the Zac to get Ziggs 2-stars. Ziggs is a really good unit. And I should cover what Ziggs' ability does. We've got a round here. Ziggs, if you're curious, he throws bombs that hits basically everything. Throw the bomb at the current target, deals magic damage. It splits into 5 smaller bombs that shred their target. That's an MR, magic resistance debuff. Shred the target for 4 seconds. Each cast increases the number of bombs by 2. So he starts out throwing a handful of bombs, but as the combat goes on, he throws more and more and more bombs. So he scales up really, really well over the course of combat. Again, blue buff is good on him, but these attack speed items are not terrible either. Anything that lets him cast more. Now it's the other Disco player, Evoker Face, is up against the Sona. And the interesting thing is both of their comps are pretty low on damage. If there's one weakness to this Sona board, there's actually very little damage on that board. It's just Ari pretty much dealing damage. And Ari's a low damage unit. She only hits 1 unit at a time. So this round's going to time out here. And oh, look at this. Sona deals no damage, and the Tentacle on Alawi can't reach the Nami. It's actually a double loss. The very rare double loss right there, because the round just timed out. And then, oh, what have we here? There's a Lux on this carousel with a death cap. I have a champion duplicator for Lux. That's Lux 3-star. Now, I really wish I could just put this death cap on Lux. That would be absolutely amazing. Unfortunately, I kind of stupidly put this rod on her earlier. So unless I get a item remover, I can't take this off and get the death cap on her. So that's a bit unfortunate. I'll go ahead and roll just to see if there's a Lux in my store. But there's not a Lux in my store, unsurprisingly. So we'll do the next best thing available. We'll put this on Lulu. Lulu is an AP support plus damage unit, and that's going to make Lulu's polymorphs a lot stronger. So Lux 3-star, there we go. And now I'm up against the other Disco player. They have a 2-star Blitz, but their Blitz items are really not very good. They have double Crown Guard and a Bloodthirster. I mean, that's okay. That's not bad. But it's not great. It's not good. So they do have 2-star Blitz. They have 2-star Zac. They have 2-star Thresh. They got a really tanky front line. But as I said, the only unit who deals any damage on their board is the Twisted Fate. And in the late game, that's just usually not enough. You really need multiple damage dealers. So, like, again, I have the Lux. And, yeah, Lux is just going to snipe that. 3-star Lux makes a big difference. And so we win that round pretty easily. So, yeah, 3-star Lux wins that. But as I said, that was the fatal flaw on that board. It wasn't enough damage. They needed another carry. The TF alone was not enough to carry that fight. Anyway, so you see Sona. Here we go. Sona with their bazillion shields is going to be enough to win against this other person, Kokalal, and knocks him down to 3 HP remaining. Yeah, my comment, so that Sona thing not really balanced still there. Now that the other Disco player is out of the lobby, those blitzes go back into the pool. And so now I have decent chance to hit the Blitz 3. I get the Blitz 2-star. And that's really important because that gives me way more frontline. Blitz has all my tank items, so having him be alive is super important. Now, here's the bad news. I'm up against that Sona player. They've gone to level 10, so I was like, my only hope, I think, is if Lux can snipe that unit, and they were moving that unit over to the other side, but then I see they move the Sona back. I was like, oh, okay. Here's the good news. It's a Ghost Round. Ghost Rounds are buggy. There's a lot of things that are bugged in Ghost Rounds. Always have been. And so this is easier than it would be normally. In fact, Sona's shielding doesn't seem to be functioning the same way. I guess she did ultimately get her shield up, but I feel like I cut through a lot of the front line before that happened. So yeah, we're actually winning this round, and that's really nice. Yeah, TF was able to get off his cast and take down the Sona. So we did win that round, but remember, it was a Ghost Round, so it kind of was like not a real round. And then, yeah, you see the Sona player wins that other round. The other person actually quit the lobby. I think they were slightly disgusted. Anyway, so yeah, it's going to come down to one final round. Can I actually beat this board or not? So I decide I'll just move my units back here again. The positioning is better over here because they ended up moving their Sona back to the right hand side. So I was like, all right, well, if you're just going to move your Sona back to the right hand side, I'll move back to my default positioning again and just assume that you're going to do the same thing on the next round. They probably think that they're invincible right now. They're actually rolling for Sona 3-star. I think they have like 6 or 7 Sonas over there. So they're just going for Sona 3-star. They probably think that they have no chance of even losing this, but I'm not so sure. I think I've got a shot here. Lux 3-star gives me a chance to hit that Sona in the back lines. It's too late to go for 3-star TF. I'm mostly just looking for Zach here. Can I find one more Zach? And I actually do. So Zach 2-star, that's going to help. Now we have another item. We'll take the Thief's Glove and we'll slap this on the Zach for more frontline. Not particularly good Zach items, but, better than nothing. Now it's all going to come down to this. And I do want to say there is a fatal flaw in this team that they're running. They don't have very much damage. They're very tanky. They have a lot of frontline. They've got a 2-star Alawi. Alawi's a 5-cost. She's the 5-cost bruiser. But really the only damage on this board is the Ari, who is a low damage champion. She's single target damage. So they do have multiple Sonas, but I really think they should have played another unit. Like if they had a 2-star Jin back there instead of another 2-star Sona, I think that would have worked a lot better. So they're actually not really killing much. Yes, their shields are incredible, but not much dying. Blitz is still hanging in there. Zach is still hanging in there. We're focusing increasingly on the other units. TF does do a good job of focusing on 1 or 2 units at a time. And down goes the Sona. Down goes the Sona. I still have TF up. I still have Ziggs up. I still have Lux up. And this is going to be a victory in this game. Sona's shielded for 47,000. But we still managed to win because they didn't have enough damage on their board. So yeah, some flaws in the way these other teams were built allows me to win this one in a really entertaining game. So anyway, some of the highlights to that game, I was able to build out a strong front line throughout most of the game. I played through the Taric early on, which was super key. And then later on, eventually I was able to get into that Blitz. But the key moment in the game was selling the Blitz to pick up the TF headliner. I really had to do that, and it was all due to the odds in the shop, which is one of the really cool things. You have to watch what other players are doing. You need to work around that. I needed to get TF headliner because I just was not going to be able to find TF in the shop. So that's part of the reason why I really enjoy this set, and I'm having a blast so far. Anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Hope you enjoyed this video. Until next time, hope you guys are having a great week. Take care, folks.